we are here with Dr. Lisa Cameron, who is a member of Parliament of House of Commons, and she is now involved in the new project ERA on the first in the UK digital stelling. Nice to meet you here, Lisa.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely to speak with you.
So you have such a versatile background. You are a doctor in the past, and now you're involved in the different parliament groups. You are the chair of all parliamentary group on cryptocurrency. So can you tell us how did you get involved into it? When did you discover cryptocurrencies, and what did excite you to join this industry?
Well, I mean, we have a family interest. My husband, he has a background in coding and he's very interested in this field. But in terms of the parliamentary involvement, I felt that, this sector is charging ahead and it's going to be a key part of the future, and yet we weren't really speaking about it in the House of Commons. There were very few debates, few questions raised, and it was almost as if our constituents and people around the globe were charging ahead and we had to catch up. So I formed the all-party parliamentary group for crypto and digital assets, and the interest has been phenomenal from all parts of the Parliament, the House of Commons, the House of Lords, and we now have a programme of events for the year ahead to upskill ourselves in the sector and to make sure that when regulatory decisions are made, those can be informed decisions based upon evidence-based practice.
Yes, it's interesting. So when was this group formed, and how many members are there now?
Yes, well, there's upwards of 10 members now. The group only formed a few months ago, and since that time we have been over to Crypto Valley in Switzerland, and we've been learning from areas of best practice regarding their legislators' journey and how they have been educating themselves in the sector and how they have been taking forward the new technology and innovation of the future to make sure that new generations can be upskilled and we can target and link with our fantastic research and university developments across the UK and collaborate beyond, and that we also want to make sure that we have a correct framework in place to maintain clarity and regulation that's proportionate, and that in the Parliament, when we're discussing these issues, we're discussing them from a basis where challenges can be discussed openly and worked through, and opportunities such as innovation and research and digital inclusion for the future can really be harnessed.
And what are the issues now on the agenda of your parliamentary group?
Yes, so the programme ahead is one about educating members of the Parliament and members of the House of Lords. In the finance sector we found that you have pretty much your own language in a sense. So we're learning about the differences between stable coins, cryptocurrencies, central bank digital currency, what the challenges are, what the concerns are in terms of consumer protection, but also what the wonderful opportunities can be. And our job really is to make sure that many parliamentarians engage, raise questions in Parliament, challenge government to take forward this progressive agenda so that the UK can stay at the helm of fintech of the future.
And are you in talks with any stablecoin issues to take the experience for the building of central bank digital currency?
Well, I mean, interestingly, what we're going to be doing over the next few months is, and I announced it today at Money 2020, is our first inquiry report for the group. So we will be looking at a chapter on cryptocurrency, a chapter on central bank digital currency stable coins. We're going to be looking at digital inclusion in finance for the future, and then the overall vision for UK say in terms of taking this sector forward for the future. So we have been involved in discussions with new projects and stablecoins, CBDCs, new project ERA we heard from today, and I just think it's such a very exciting time, and we want to really be at the forefront of it and collaborate with those who are.
For the UK's retail CBDC environment, we expect the pilot to run for about 18 to 24 months starting September. So this space will be pretty interesting to watch for. It'll be a complex, challenging journey, but one we're all very excited about, and we'll talk about it more over the next few minutes. I just want to end with a very short demo of the sorts of use cases that the retail CBDC pilot will look to address over the next few months.
The world around us is changing rapidly.
So this pilot project is for the next 2 years. So
Yes.
how will it work? Is it more like a research group, and then you will present it to Central Bank of UK, or how will it work?
Well, the Project New Era is quite separate from the all-party parliamentary group, so it will conduct its work, which is really a pilot to see how this could operate. And they're looking at taking that forward over a timeline of 2 years. And in terms of our cross-party group, which is made up of members of Parliament and members of the House of Lords, we're going to be kept updated regularly from the project. But we're also very, very interested to hear right from across the whole sector as to what's happening, and making sure that we understand the scope of this new, I would say, industrial revolution, but I think it's even broader than that, because I hear it's not just really about finance, but this is going to be changes to our day-to-day living in terms of arts, culture, retail, much broader than industry in terms of that itself. So I think it has the scope to change our whole way of life, and Parliament has to be at the helm of that, because we have to know how best to progress and how to protect consumers alongside that.
I mean, I was just going to quickly add to that those are exactly the issues that the inquiry report that the all-party parliamentary group will be addressing. We need to look at how this will work in a combined way moving forward. I think, you know, this has already happened, so we're upscaling MPs, we're upscaling peers to look at this new emerging sector, because we can't put it back in the box. People are already using it. My constituents are actually further ahead than I am. Yep. So part of it is educating ourselves in the Parliament, working with the sector and bringing it together in an inquiry report with recommendations to government going forward.
That's exactly what the task force is all about. Do you want to have a final point? Maybe.
So what benefits of central bank digital currencies do you see?
Well, we've had good discussions today, and part of my job as chair of the group is to find out, you know, the potential benefits and also to offset those and work through the challenges. So some of the benefits we've spoken about today, and we've been learning from the sector too, because this is very much a learning experience for parliamentarians to harness the best knowledge in the sector, is the importance of inclusion for those people who may be marginalised from the finance sector, which is the traditional finance sector. Members of the Parliament are so concerned that banks are closing across the United Kingdom, so it's very difficult in some areas, particularly rural areas, for people to get to a local bank anymore. So these initiatives whereby the currency could become digital in the future has the potential to reach out to our communities, which perhaps feel a bit disenfranchised now, and also sectors like those with disabilities who perhaps find that their mobility is limited and they can't get to traditional banking services anymore as easily as they could in the past. I don't think it will replace cash. I think it has to be seen as part of the realm of services that would be available. The other thing we've been speaking about, which I find fascinating, is we do a lot of work in the Parliament on United Kingdom aid trying to make sure it gets to the recipient, those that are the most vulnerable, so that we don't leave people behind. And there's been a lot of concern that perhaps aid doesn't get to the most vulnerable. So I understand that through the blockchain and through emerging technologies that it might be possible to actually make sure that women and girls, for instance, in countries where perhaps they don't traditionally have access to finance, can then be the key participants who access our UK aid money. Might be for microfinance developments, it might be for traditional day-to-day living support that's needed. But the UK consumer and the UK resident is very, very concerned and wants UK aid money to go to the most vulnerable people across the world. So I think this technology can also help.
Yeah, that's one of the best benefits of blockchains, that everything is transparent, and a lot of charity organizations started using it, and as well different NGOs.
Yes.
And do you already have some discussions on which blockchain will this digital stallion be issued?
No, I mean the Bank of England and government will be looking at those issues just now, but the all-party group and the inquiry that we're taking forward is really to engage parliamentarians, to bring us into the discussion, to make sure we have the educational basis to ask the correct questions in Parliament to protect consumers, but also to seize the opportunity. So I don't think we're at that stage yet, but we certainly hope to be part of the process.
And there are a lot of concerns about violation of privacy of the users if they start using CBDCs, because everything can be easily tracked, all the spends of the citizens. So how are you going to solve this issue?
Yes, I mean, I don't think that's something that I'm going to be able to solve as a parliamentarian, but certainly we do want industry experts to come on board to look at those very crucial issues. And part of our sessions in the Parliament will be to look at that. Privacy, GDPR, all of those issues. They're key concerns for our consumers in the United Kingdom, and those are going to be very pivotal issues for our report.
And how do you overall assess the state of the crypto regulations in the UK?
Well, in terms of regulation, we've been now out to Switzerland. We're looking at areas of best practice internationally. We want to see a bespoke system for the UK going forward. But underpinning that will be our evidence base, and that will be from best practice elsewhere, but it will have to be a bespoke fit for the United Kingdom. So government's taking this forward on what was called the crypto sprint recently, and we do want it to be a sprint because we don't want to be left behind, but we also want to be cautious and to make sure that we have the best information possible, that we have all of the meetings in the Parliament with the key players we need to have there to learn and to make informed decisions about regulation going forward, because this will be debated time and time again in Parliament, and we want to get it right.
Yeah, hopefully it will be beneficial for both private crypto companies and the government too.
Absolutely. I think mutual benefit will be very important, and the consumer has to be at the key in terms of, you know, protecting their interests, but also giving them the opportunities of the future that the technology brings.
Yeah, that's one of the main things. Thank you for such interesting conversation.
Thank you so much.